Layer 05 Distortion. And very fitting name because it's pretty much what it's all about. And it's mostly about Mika. Now, ooh, every time you look into like discussions about Lain, like or websites about Lain, this is the biggest question this episode. Everybody's like, what happened to Mika? So I'm gonna try my best to explain this episode. So alright, the very beginning, the dialogue itself, just in the beginning, is very confusing. It says, if you can hear it, it is speaking to you. If you can see it, it is yours to have. This is a very philosophical um, piece right here. Alright, so if you can hear it, it is speaking to you. Now, yeah, you could say that because everything has a message. You know, a car honk, is a message to, hey, move your car. Um, Music obviously has messages. Um, Dog growling is telling you to back off. Everything is a message. It is speaking it's speaking to you, just not verbally. I mean, in the most obvious way, talking, person to person. It's the most obvious way. So it is, hence, speaking to you. Now, if you can see it, it is yours to have. All right. Physically, if something physically exists, you can have it. Now, how realistic it is? I mean, yeah, you can go to the store and buy a shirt that's you can see it and you can have it, and that's reasonable. But and not so reasonable as like wanting to own the Empire State Building, but it is. It can, if you try really hard, be yours to have. So the whole point that I was trying to say, the whole point of that, well, that's up to you. It's just one of those it's just one of those messages that Lain likes to give out. The show loves to give out. Okay, so on to the actual show. All right, so at around 4:20, Mika is just chilling in downtown, and she's looking around, and she says, "Damn, I can't believe it." And it's kind of random, It's she just said it offhandedly, and I'm led to believe that it's what she sees because right before she says that she's looking and she sees these two guys talking to these girls, and they look younger. The girls look very younger. I mean, yeah, a little younger, and the guys look a little older. How you can tell? Well, for one thing, the one guy is hunched, like, bent over a little bit, and both of the guys they dress a little bit more older, and the girls are young and little scantily dressed, and that's more of a youth thing. And the bit and well, a good factor into determining that is that you look to the couple on the right, and I mean the girls are a little shorter than the woman, and the guy is, you know, he's not bending over like the other guy is. So it could just be not Lane, Mika's disgust at these guys, and even the women, the little girls, for just being in such a situation. Like, come on, guys, have you no class? And ladies, don't be naive. Okay, so at around 4:50, there's a car crash, and they talk about it later, and they're like, oh, there was a problem with the lights and everything, and that's right, there were car crashes, and it's just another thing to show that we're so dependent on technology. I mean, not for nothing, but so many people are dependent on GPS these days. It's kind of pathetic. Like, I don't have a GPS, and I just rely on pen and paper, and I get by just fine. But you take the GPS out of the equation for some people, as I've so witnessed, and they have no idea where they're going. And it's just another, it's like we can't drive effectively, like without a red light. I mean, like you can tell like they show the red car and it like crashes into a crowd. Like, all right, there comes a point where it's like, well, you should see the crowd in front of you, pay more attention, and don't rely on technology so much. Okay, so now this is where it gets all confusing, and people are like, what is up with this episode? All right, so at 5:40, Lain is talking to a doll, and Lain is like, oh, tell me a story, and the doll says she can't tell Lain the story because Lain knows everything, and who is all seeing and all knowing? God. So it's just another God reference there. Um, Continuing on. Um, so again, Mika's in downtown Tokyo at 8:30, and she sees Lain in the street, and then she sees Lain. Well, I don't know if she sees Lain, but Lain is on the television, big screen TV. And this is evil Lain because later on in the episode, Mika asks Lain, and Lain's like, I don't know, I don't think so. And Lain, you could tell it was evil Lain because the eyes were down and kind of crazy looking, and that's evil Lain for you. Um, so continuing on, in the 9:30 you got the doll talking about prophecies. Okay, um, okay. So the dolls. First off, what are the dolls? Dolls. This one he talks about prophecy. Who delivers prophecy? Prophets. Who delivers prophets? God. Now, um, who was they mentioned in the beginning. I sorry, I need to backtrack a little bit. But God, the false God, spoke to Lain in the beginning of the show. So you could say that these people were hence prophets. These dolls were prophets sent to help Lain in going into the wire. That's what the false god wanted. I thought it was Tachibana at first, but I don't think Tachibana would, because later on the mom and the father, they show up and Lain is like, are you really my mom and dad? And it's like Tachibana wouldn't have put himself in such a situation and to like make Lain question whether or not that was really her mom and dad. Um, but I'll get into that in a little bit. Well, I mean, at 13, the mom pops up, and the mom starts. Mom is just really talking about more like medical, like, oh, we're just flesh and bones. Nothing really fancy being said there. 1350, some social commentary just about family dysfunction. Um, just like no one's paying attention. Like the father watching TV, and the TVs, man, they are the death. They should not be in the dining table. Alright, that's just my personal opinion. Mother's just totally apathetic as usual, and Lain is too preoccupied with everything that's going on to really be concerned about that. And Mika's just, man, what's going on? It's like Mika's the only one that really cared about the family. Um, just to see that. But the thing is, she doesn't know what to do. So it's just like, so then she just acts like a normal teenager would and just bottles herself up and keeps quiet and all that stuff. Now, at 1840, the dad talks. He talks about God and prophecy. And, okay, let's do this. Let's explain this. Okay. Now, he talks about the wire. He says, well, why can't there be a God in the wire? Okay. Real life, like the real world, man did not create the real world. We did not create Earth. We did not create ourselves out of nothing. Something created us. However, we created the wire. So what's to say that we're not gods of this? And what's not to say that somebody cannot have gone to the wired and fulfilled that role as God? Because we are the creator of this thing. it's like, well, it's totally doable when you look at it, because a lot of people can replace the real world lives with lives on the computer. And when that happens, it's totally doable for somebody to be like, oh, I'm God, and who has power over these other people, and they can fulfill that role that's not possible in real life. Um, okay, easy example. WoW. Um, you create an avatar and all that stuff, and but then you have somebody who can delete your accounts and delete your avatar. Well, it's not to say that he isn't playing the role of God. So just put that mentality in just the whole Wired in general, and that's what the dad's getting at. Okay, so the big question is, what is going on with Mika? That's the big point. And I mean, from like 15, from 15 onwards, it's just Mika getting screwed around with. Simple answer is that she's just being messed with by. Now, this is where a lot of people don't catch on to this for some reason. I don't know why, but it's Evil Lain who's doing it. A lot of people say the Knights, and okay, well, maybe the Knights could have done it, but Evil Lain directed them to do that, and because at the very end of the show, and no, every time you look this up, I'm surprised no one mentions this, is that Lain says, who will it be today? Okay, now what could that be a reference to? Except, oh, who's next? It's basically saying who's next. She doesn't mess with Mika. So that's Evil Lain. And you look, the eyes droop a little bit, and it's like, that has to be Evil Lain. So it was Evil Lain messing with her throughout the whole thing. That whole bit, she's just messing around with her reality. The whole fulfill of prophecy, well, I mean, the dolls were talking about it. But honestly, there's some people saying, oh, like, people will say the Knights are like mistake. They thought God, Mika was God, and no, it's Lain. But no, it's just Evil Lain was just messing around with her, and she was just saying fulfill a prophecy, which was, what the false God was saying the whole time. So it just, it's just screwing. People, it doesn't really need to make sense, but it's just screwing with her, and then okay, so at the end, Mika walks in and she sees the other Mika, and she's like, well, what the hell? She starts freaking out and all this stuff, and she vanishes. Okay, so then Evil Lain just deleted her, and that's the first time you ever really see that Evil Lain has the power to just delete people out of the real world. Because that's what she did, and I mean, normal Lain was all sad and fight and everything, but then you go up and this Evil Lain's taking over. Like, really, it's just that easy. Like, the Lain personalities can just switch like that. So it has to be Evil Lain, not Evil. And if it was the Knights, it had to have been actually Evil Lain's orders. I mean, yeah, it's everyone always gets confused by that, and I can see why. But you have to see. Well, why did Evil Lain, choose Mika? I mean, Mika would just be Mika is just a test, least likely. I mean, easiest target, more or less. I can't think of anybody else would be easier. I mean, Evil Lain even starts messing with Alice later episodes. Mika was just the jump start to it all. So yeah, that's really what happened to Mika. It's not really that hard when you think about it. But yeah, a lot of people seem confused. And Layer 05, guys, Distortion makes the name makes a lot of sense. So thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more. All right, time for Layer.